Okay, so we are going to continue our conversation about solving trig equations, but we're going to do something a little bit tougher. So let's do something like this. Whoops. We are going to solve two cosine squared x plus 3 cosine x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so you did a problem that was similar to this in your Edgenuity notes. They used what we call a substitution to make it a little bit simpler. You don't have to do that, but you do need to see this as a quadratic equation. So if it makes it easier for you to see it as quadratic, feel free to go ahead and rewrite it. You can use any letter you want to. You don't have to use the letter U like that. Okay, so you think about how you would factor this, and you're letting b equal cosine x. Okay, so if we factor this, you get that. Now you can do the same thing over here. Whoops. Okay, you just don't write b. Okay, and then since you're solving by factoring, you would set each factor equal to 0. And solve. You do the same thing over here. You just have a cosine. Okay, so now you have to think about exactly, how to solve your equation. So if you were to go over here to your right and solve this one, you would get b is equal to negative 1/2. B is equal to negative 1. Same thing over here, except it says cosine negative 1/2 cosine of x equal to negative 1. Now this one is a little bit more straightforward because negative 1/2 and negative 1 are ratios that are on the unit circle for cosine. So all you would have to do is look at your unit circle and find the negative 1/2, and you would find that x is equal to 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. Okay, and then cosine is equal to negative 1 at pi. Okay, so now this is just says solve. It doesn't say solve for 0 to 2 pi. So what you need to do is you need to be aware that these answers are going to repeat every time you cycle through one period. So for cosine, they're going to cycle through every multiple of 2 pi. So that's why they put 2k pi. Okay? Now, and usually we say where k is an integer. And if you were to graph this on Desmos, you would see that your zeros or your x-intercepts would repeat because this is what you're finding. You're finding where the graph crosses the x-axis. Okay, now let's do one that's a little bit less straightforward. Okay. Okay, let's do that one. All right. Well, note that this is tangent. So tangent, recall, has a period of pi. Okay, again, we're going to solve. Again, we're going to factor. I'm going to not do the substitution. And I'm just going to solve as normal. Okay, so I get tangent of x is equal to 1, and then tangent of x is equal to negative 1/4. Okay, so this is where it becomes a little interesting. Okay, so tangent of x is equal to 1 is actually a unit circle value. So where does that happen on the unit circle? Okay, so if you look at your unit circle, tangent is going to be equal to positive 1 when your sine and cosine values are equal. So that happens at pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Okay, now this guy, we have to get a little bit more creative. Okay, because negative 1/4 is not on the unit circle. Okay, so we have to think about what we know. We have to think about, okay, where is tangent negative? So tangent is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. Okay, so I'm gonna have answers that are on the unit circle in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. Okay, so let's go to my calculator and use the tangent inverse button. So basically, this is what we're doing right here. Now remember, tangent is a little bit different than sine or cosine. Oops. All right, here we go. Making sure your calculator is in radian mode. 0.24497. Oh, wait, I forgot to hit the negative button. So let's go back and fix that. Negative 1/4. Okay, so I get negative 0.24497. So with rounding, x is equal to negative 0.245. Cool. Okay, so this is a negative angle. Okay, so this one is in quadrant 4. Okay, so now that's that angle. So I know that the other angle appears in quadrant 2. So it's going to be over here. I want the same angle. Okay, so there's a couple ways to find it. Okay, so what you can do, okay, is, let's see, we can continue going in this direction, right? And what that would do is it would add pi, right? So, or subtract it, I should say, because you're going clockwise. Okay. Oops. All right. So this would be approximately negative 2.895. Okay? Well, that's an answer. Okay? But I could also do this. I could go this way, right? So how would I get the positive version of that? How would I do that? Well, it looks like I could add pi too. And get a positive 2.895. Now wait a second, let's think about this. I just got a positive and a negative of the same answer? How could that be? Well, what's the period of tangent? Period of tangent is pi. So everything is going to happen every pi. So my answers are x equals pi over 4. Now notice in the very beginning, pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4, those are pi apart. So I can get the 5 pi over 4 by adding pi. So by adding every multiple of pi, I can get my second answer. And then to get the second one, I can get that. Now remember, this is tangent. So tangent's going to be a little different. So that makes it a little bit more complicated. Okay, let's try another one. No, all right, let's try another one. Let's try that one. Okay, so this is sine. It's got a period of 2 pi. All right, so let's try it out. Remember, you're just factoring. Okay. Set each factor equal to 0. Okay, so now you have to think of it this way. You can't just, type it in your calculator. You need to think about this. So does sine ever have a ratio that's greater than 1? No. So this first one yields no solution. Okay, now this one, think about this one. Okay, what is the only value between 0 and 2 pi that gives you a sine value of negative 1? That's at 3 pi over 2. Again, that's on your unit circle, plus 2k pi. There's your answer. Rewrite that. go. All right, let's try another one. Let's try that one. Okay, so I can factor out a cosine. Setting each factor equal to 0. Solving. Well, can cosine never equal greater than 1? So this one would to no solution. This one, cosine is equal to 0 in 2 spots, right? Or 1 spot. 1 spot. And it happens every 2 pi. Okay, so these can be a little challenging. Okay, let's try one more before we go. Okay, this is sine, so let's try that one. Solving. Oh, no solution again. And this one yields. Oh, sine equals -1 at 3 pi over 2. So this one's very similar to one that we previously solved. Okay, I know we said one more, but we're just going to solve one more, just to be fun. Oops. Oops, I'm going to change this to a negative, sorry. There we go. Got my signs wrong, I apologize. Okay, so let's solve that one. This value is on the unit circle. That happens at 0 and 2 pi, but since it's at 3 pi, that's all I need to do. So that gives me an answer of plus 2k pi. Now this one, on the other hand, this is where it gets interesting. So this gives me a cosine x value of -6/7. That's not on the unit circle. So I have to ask myself, where is cosine negative? So that's quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So I have to make sure I get two answers in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So let's use my calculator. Okay, so let's see what the calculator spits out. .6. Now this answer, this is in quadrant 2. So how am I going to find the second answer that's in quadrant 3? Okay, so you can go to Desmos, you can graph it, you can find it like that. Or what I like to do is I like to do a quick sketch. Oops. There we go. Let's change that back. Okay, so I know this is in quadrant 2. That angle, since it's positive, measures from the positive x-axis, so that's 2.6. So I need to find this angle right here, same angle. So I need to figure out what this is right here. So we're going to go, this is going to be a little strange, this is pi. So to find out what this little guy is right here, we're going to go pi minus 2.6. That gives me 0.54. So this little guy right here is 5.4, or excuse me, 0.54. Okay, so now if I want this angle right here, measured from here, I have to go 5, or pi, plus pi 5.4, 0.54, excuse me. And I get 3.68. Okay, so that's how I find my second answer. So I have three answers to this equation. I have x equals 0 plus 2k pi. I have x equals 2.6 plus 2k pi. And I have 3.86 or 3.68 plus 2k pi. And those are my three answers. Okay, I apologize if this is a little rough to follow. Okay, but you do have to think about how many times can I get my answer in the unit circle. If you have problems with that, please go to Desmos and graph it.